Caroline Ducharme, I think, is one of the favorite players for UConn fans. You can just get a sense of that. Everyone likes her as she seems like a nice kid and obviously has had a bad run with injuries. But that being said, there seems to be a sense of unease, or at least some asking questions in the comments and things like that. Should she be starting over Aubrey Griffin? In this video, I'm going to take a look at why Geno is starting her. And is this simply Geno chasing a dream or a version of her that will never return? Now, before we start, if you like the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel as well. If you like the video, please give it a like. That is very, very helpful. Let's get into this. A lot of times it is easier to put the pieces together after you see the puzzle, and that is the case with Ducharme. I have to say that I was surprised when she started versus South Connecticut State University. But then you look back at the pregame press conference, and Geno was throwing bouquets at her, saying that she looked good, like the best she'd looked since her freshman year.
Yeah, she's playing great. She's playing great. She reminds me of herself as a freshman, and couldn't be happier.
And he was optimistic that she would have a really, really great season. And then later on in the press conference, they get on to Ducharme again, and they talk about this mystical stretch that she had her freshman year that ironically commenced the game where Paige Beckers did her first knee injury against Notre Dame.
Geno, as a freshman, there were times when people were hurt. She kind of came in and was the savior. Right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, then she was hurt, and she's been in and out.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of how she might fit into the fabric of things when you have everybody and now she's healthy?
Yeah. I think there were times her freshman year when it seemed like we did have everybody and she played a lot, and it looked great because that's, one more shooter, one more real aggressive player. I think she's going to fit in great. We can put her at a lot of different places, when we want to go small, that gives us another shooter, another ball handler. It's just adds another player that stretches the floor a little bit. Coming from last year when AZ went down, and it was really hard trying to get open jump shots for people when you didn't have a lot of shooters. Having another one is just, I think, means everything, because she's just she's the same old Carol. She's fearless.
In that game, Ducharme broke out for 14 points in the fourth quarter, and from there it clicked. From 9 December to the 2nd of February, she averaged 16 points a game, but then she sustained a head injury in practice, and then following that, she sustained another head injury versus Creighton, and really she wasn't the same that season and hasn't really been the same since. After the Final Four loss her freshman year, Auriemma noted in the press conference after the loss that Ducharme hadn't been the same really since she'd taken that head injury. They'd done all the tests. She didn't have a concussion, but really felt like she just was a different player from that point. It was hoped that she would come back strong the following year, although she had to get her labral surgery on her hip, and then after that, she struggled to start her sophomore year because of head and neck issues related to tightness in her traps and back of her neck. And this has been well documented in my other videos, so I'm not going to go through it again, but essentially she struggled all last year with the concussions and was never really right. And then she had issues again this summer when they went to Europe. And the question is, why is Geno so determined to put her in? And it's just because he sees the vision of when she played during that stretch. He talks about it later in that press conference about how she's a piece you can just fit in perfectly because she has the outside shot. She's such a good shooter. But more than that, the reason Geno likes her and her teammates love her as well, as her reputation isn't like a whinger or a complainer or anything like that. They all know that she's battled through this and she's tough and gritty in games and willing to take the tough shot. She did that her freshman year versus DePaul in late January as a freshman. So the play broke down and she was willing to take the shot. Nika Mule as well says that you want the ball in Caroline's hands, or as a point guard, she wanted to get the ball in Caroline's hands if it was a clutch shot to be taken. She said this last year, obviously, when Beckers was out. And then last year as well, when she returned from the concussions in February of 23, UConn was playing Creighton and they were down, and she went for 10 in the fourth quarter and brought them back. And she was like, I knew somebody needed to step up, so she did it. And in the articles you see about that, Geno Auriemma is just effusive about her and how she's injuries she's battled through, how she's willing to step up and do anything she can, and just so happy for her. During the preseason press conference this year as well, a reporter asks about the impact of the injury on Caroline and the struggle. And you can see he's almost befuddled by the head injury because he says it's nothing he's ever seen before. And the empathy that he has for her is very clear, because they're worried about her long-term health as well.
It's a mystery to me because I've never seen anything like it. I can't even say, oh, I remember when I had this situation. I've never seen anything like it. So all this tightness and all this, stress that her shoulders or neck or wherever all that stuff is, just puts so much pressure on her that sometimes it becomes really, really difficult for her to do what she wants to do. And it's not like she's going to stop driving in there. It's not like she's going to stop, going to the basket and doing stuff. So I just want her to be healthy. I want her to be 100%, both, for basketball and going forward. I certainly don't want her to constantly be living in that. We talk about it in the office. Should we start Caroline or not? Well, what if some days she just walks in and goes, I can't go today. All right. So I want to stop talking about that. I want to stop worrying about that. And this is the closest that she's been since freshman year. That she's going to be at practice, and she's gone through the entire practice, every practice. I'm really, really, really encouraged by that. Because when she gets it going, man, I think she was 9 for 11 the other day in a scrimmage that we had from 3-point line. So that's what I'm talking about.
And if you compare that to when he was asked, I think it was Patterson and her knee, he was sort of had the crooked smile going, she's learned fast that, you want to be ready when the season starts.
Amara, yes. Ayanna, no. No. Ayanna won't be ready.
Will you be ready by the season opener?
She says so. I figured, she learned quickly. When do I need to be ready? Probably November 7th. That's what a veteran would do, right? It's pretty sharp.
To get out of preseason drills and things like that. So you can tell that they all care, have empathy for her, and I think he wants to give her the best shot to be in his starting lineup, as she's a good shooter, she's clutch, and she's tough. And you like that combination. And I think that's where the genesis of they want to give her the first trial of it and see if she can hold on to the spot. And that's where the Aubrey Griffin plays better in 4 or 5 minute spurts. He came up with that when he was asked about the management for Griffin after the Southern Connecticut game.
When Aubrey's healthy, when she's 100%, you saw the impact that she can have defensively on the backboard. She is pretty healthy for the most part. I hope that we can keep her that way. Anytime, in your past you've had back surgery, it's always something that you worry about. But if we can keep her minutes in bursts, 3-4 minutes here, 3-4 minutes there, and not have it be prolonged, I think we can keep her that way. And again, she's quite different than our other wings. Everything's about building on it, so we need her to build on today.
That's where he started introducing, she's relatively healthy, he said, and we think that's probably the best way to use her, which makes no sense to me. I mean, I know she had some issues at the end of the season with some back spasms, but a back playing in short bursts, I don't see how that's going to protect your back, because I would think the more you're on the bench, the more chance you have for your back to get cold and go into spasms. That I think they're using that as an excuse, and he'd rather have it in his back pocket. Okay, I can go to Griffin in the starting lineup, and that still might be the case. I could see a lineup of Edwards, Griffin at power forward, and then Ducharme at the small forward, and the one that gets edged out is Mule. To be determined, because their defense looks pretty ugly right now, and I think they want to get more athleticism and Griffin on the court, and I could see that happen. But that is the reason I think he's put in Ducharme to start the season, stretch 4, if you like, is he wants shooter. And he said as much as well, that it's great having 4 elite shooters on the court with Beckers, Fudd, Ducharme, and Mule, and they'll try to stretch teams and do that. And that looks great if you're hitting your shots. And will this team have enough defense and rebounding to survive the small lineup? That will be the question. The last thing on Ducharme, she's a shooter. She's willing to put up shots and, tolerate the misses. I said this regarding Fudd as well. And if you're a shooter and your shot's not going down, then it looks bad. I mean, she shot okay during that game. She needs to get more shots up, which she's willing to take. And I think it's way too early to say, nah, she needs to be yanked out of the lineup. If they want to try this, fine. I still think maybe the better lineup would have Griffin at stretch 4 and Ducharme at small forward, but to be determined. What are your thoughts? What is your lineup? I know it's a topic of conversation. And overall, do you think Geno should persist with Ducharme in the starting lineup come hell or high water somehow, some way? They need to get Griffin back into the starting lineup and ditch this 4-minute burst policy they have on her. And basically, that means either Mule or Ducharme needs to go. Thanks again for watching. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Have a great day.